one thing you have spoken about, and you've mentioned it quite a bit, is this
Mhm.
law of attraction. Now you
Mhm.
can Google law of attraction. You can go on Amazon, just type in law of attraction, and you just get pages and pages. And there's
Yeah.
familiar names, there's non-familiar names. Can you
Mhm.
explain in your way on what is law of attraction, just for some of our listeners who might not really understand it? And what is your perspective and your experience with the law of attraction? We don't want to Google it. We want it from you. We want it from you.
Okay. So you guys are asking some amazing questions, and I relish this because this whole concept became so mainstream that it was just kind of like, and it it took on so many different forms, and just it was just a mess, I feel like, because, and the problem was, unless you have, it took me 14 years to come forward and say, okay, this is what I do and this is who I am, because I wanted to understand it in the most in-depth way I possibly could, which also meant I could teach it in the most simplest way possible. And I feel like, as great as The Secret was, as great as all these things were, it just became about get, and just, it became so superficial in a lot of ways. And I say that because I want to be able to convey the easiest, most, you know, kindergarten type way to grasp it. Right. And all that is there's a law at work, just like the law of gravity, that all it does is it matches the vibrations that we emit. And all vibration is a feeling, it's a mood, it's your state of being. So if you're giving off positive vibrations at the moment, the law is going to match that. And you're going to see that show up in your life either as a circumstance, or you're going to be able to see any circumstance as positive. So it's really about your attitude. And at every single moment, the law is matching that. So when we do what we call become deliberate creators, we make sure that, and it's almost impossible to do it every single moment, but we make sure we're very coherent and conscious that we're giving off high vibrational attitudes, high vibrational feelings. We're purposely setting ourselves up to feel good and to feel joyful. And if you do that, and I've lived it a multitude of times, you're going to see that reflect in your life. And it's the most beautiful thing. But I think when it's simplified, when you just understand the law matches your vibration, it's impersonal. It doesn't say, okay, this one's too fat. This one's, oh, this one doesn't have enough education. This one is, from this place. It's completely blind in the sense that it only speaks the language of vibration, which is powerful for all of us because we can truly have what we desire, but more importantly, what aligns to our highest expression. And it's as simple as, I just choose to feel good. I choose to feel good as much as I possibly can. And it's just setting those intentions. And those words will create those thoughts, and those thoughts begin to create those vibrations. And before you know it, your life is truly reflecting that. So I think that's kind of in a nutshell.
You said one word that I think is very powerful, and it's a
Mhm.
choice.
Yeah.
That we have a choice of how we are
Mhm.
going to feel and think and react. And lots of people go through lives of, oh, it's
Mhm.
happening to me, I have no choice, I have no
Yeah.
agenda, and then expecting things to happen. So it's a
Mhm.
choice to believe, it's a choice to approach life with this positive outlook, and have this understanding and has this belief that our thoughts create our reality, that how
Mhm.
we think and how we talk to ourselves and how we talk to others and how we talk to the world and how we perceive that the choices that we're making in those
Mhm.
thoughts, those are the things that create and shape our reality. And for me, the word belief in there, it's similar to Natalie interesting journey with belief from, we talked about religion, where, there is different things between belief and religion. For me now, I'm fully embracing belief while still keeping distance to traditional organized religions. But going beyond of just the belief, it's more of living with conviction. It's living with this not only hope and belief and faith, it's this pure, clear conviction that it is what it is in terms of I can create the outcomes that I want. I don't need to manifest anything. I don't need to have affirmations for anything. I don't need to believe it. As long as that's what I'm thinking, that's going to happen, and I'm sure about that. It's an interesting switch over the years that has happened with the regular practice of belief in one way or another, of conditioning and choosing and intentionally dragging myself out of spinning moments and figuring out different modalities and practices and ways to find no, this is the path I want to be, this is the vision, this is the life, this is the energy. And I love that we're using very broad and different terminology here, so people can tap into, well, maybe God doesn't resonate with me, maybe spirit, maybe universe, maybe law of attraction, maybe manifestation, maybe higher energy. I love that we're explaining the same thing from so many different perspectives that any listener oh, wait a minute, maybe this word does not sit right with me, but your explanation was wonderful in a simple, clear way. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Could I add something? So I have a message I've written to myself. It might show up backwards, but I'm going to read it for you guys. And this basically, it ties up what you said, and also the fact that when we understand the law of attraction, we can take our power back completely. And that gets to understanding that being completely 100% responsible for everything that's happening. So a while back, I wrote an affirmation. Or I guess you can say it's an affirmation, but I keep it posted because whenever I get frustrated or think like life is not going my way, I always look at this and I'll repeat it a few times just to make sure it's fresh. And I'll read it out to you guys. I happily and gratefully take full 100% responsibility for creating this moment, and I gladly embrace it 100%. It is done. It is inevitable. And so the reason I wanted to read that out, thank you, is because it not only reminds me, but reinvigorates me that I have the power to create the life that I want. And it's not through trying to control anything outside of me, but more importantly, staying on top of the way I think and the way that I feel. And so law of attraction is so wonderful because it really emphasizes us taking our power back and then allowing our higher selves, our intuitive guidance to lead us from there. And so it's really neat to know we are, as Abraham says, co-creators and just in charge of all of this and stuff. And so that's really what my focus has been with this, is just really helping people to understand how powerful they are. So I just wanted to interject that.
Of course, and again, it triggered a little thing in there, triggered something, a memory or realization for me, and that's the 100%. It's not, 50-50 in conflict, in relationships to each other, to ourselves, to the universe, to God. It's not like, oh, I will do my part if you do your part.
Right.
No, it is 100% my owning of everything, and then you 100% and everyone else 100%. We would create such a wonderful world if we all can, any conflict, any communication, any expectation, if we all I'm bringing in 100% of this is me, this is on me, I have the power, I have the choice, and you have the same. I think if it would create, this is a one way to really approach this, it's with the 100% ownership of everything that's happening around us and to us, which can be overwhelming. It can be scary. It's like, everything in the world is now 100% my fault. But also it can be empowering of like, no, if I approach world and life with 100% of me is coming in and I
Yeah.
have the choice and the control, then I really am unstoppable.
Yes.
You talk about law of attraction, and I love how you explained it. It's you have simplified it, and yes, I think most people have heard about The Secret and all
Yeah.
these other books and that's out there, and you've really explained it. But one thing that I'd like you to clarify, and
Okay.
it is that there's this idea that the law of attraction, you have to be positive, and there's this negative, there's this, it's almost this negative about positivity. You've got to be positive. Life's crappy at the moment. Just be positive. Just
Yeah.
blaze them through and be all powerful and all positive.
Toxic positivity.
That's it. Yes, thank you for that. I was trying to think of that word. But we are human. We are
Yes.
human beings. We have a huge amount of emotions. And
Mhm.
I'd love for you to clarify is the law of attraction still works with our emotions. I mean, we suffer grief. We
Yes.
can be sad. We can be happy. We can be frustrated. We can be
Mhm.
overwhelmed. We can be funny. There's so many emotions. We are not
Mhm.
just 3 or 4 emotions and that's it. I mean, you read this
Right.
book, I think there's about 100 of them in there. But law of attraction still works with this, because
Yes.
even if we're grieving, we can
Mhm.
still put out how we are and who
Yeah.
we are. But this toxic positivity can be really damaging. Can you just dig into that a little bit and sort of your take on all that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's you make a wonderful point. And so my work as a psychic and intuitive and empath is helping people to heal their trauma. And so one thing we should take a moment to clarify is when it comes to the law of attraction, ultimately it's about your soul condition. And that toxic positivity comes in when we ignore the trauma that we have that could interfere with us manifesting the highest vibrational outcome. So it's important to feel those emotions, tap into them, because I found, and this is interesting, whenever I've had like a deep sadness or a deep grief or a deep depression, as I've dove into that really, really strongly, it's created the absolute greatest joy. And it was almost like this treasure chest of joy being locked under all this muck, and all these layers of things. And when I opened it, the joy itself just became absolutely immeasurable. And so, to your point, I think the greatest thing to understand is not to be neurotic with your positivity, and not to necessarily, I guess, not to necessarily just force it, but to feel it authentically. And the more we can focus on authenticity, the more our souls in the universe will bring us anything that's blocking that. And you'll find, even then, even as you're working, and this is my experience, even as you're working through those lower emotions and those lower vibrations, you can still manifest things of a high vibrational nature, because the universe ultimately, it predicates itself on 2 things: unconditional love and balance. And it always wants you to be in balance. And if you're out of balance, right, it's going to do everything to get you back into balance. And sometimes that's feeling that anger, right? That's feeling that sadness and that disgust. And then once you do, right, what I feel is the law of attraction sees that as, okay, you're giving me the vibes of being authentic. So then you're going to receive more things to be authentic. And then ultimately you'll work through that to the point where authenticity is just you emanating joy and excitement about life. And it sort of measures itself out, but it is steps to get to that place. And I think that was a lot of the things. It's so great that you made this point, because that's what was missing. And when it first just kind of blasted onto the scene, because I was sitting here saying affirmations like 10,000 times a day, getting a headache, passing out, trying to figure out what's happening. But the thing is, I hadn't worked through my trauma yet. And so once I was able to work through my trauma and my low self-worth and my, lack of self-esteem and hopelessness and all these things that I picked up as a young child living in New Orleans, once that was cleared, then positivity was natural. It wasn't, the key is it shouldn't be forced. It should emanate from you naturally as opposed to just trying. Because anything we try, we insist on a sense of lack to the universe, and it just gives us more lack. So it's like really diving into yourself and being, once again, as sincere and authentic as possible.
So what I am hearing,
Mhm.
and please do correct me if
Yeah.
if I'm wrong or not quite grasping it, is
Mhm.
it's almost like the law of attraction allows you to be a human. Is you going
Yes.
through this phase. I mean, we all suffer grief. We've had somebody talk about grief, and
Mhm.
it is something that all humans will experience some form of grief throughout their life.
Absolutely.
But as the law of attraction, it's like, okay, you are dealing with it, you're embracing it, you're working through it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be here with you until you come out the other side. Whereas if you just suppress it and it's like, oh yes, I've just suffered, lost my job, or I've lost a parent, or I've lost a pet, but hey, I'm
Mhm.
positive, I can deal with this, I'm not in grief at all. It's
Mhm.
like, well, you're not listening to yourself, so I'm just going to step aside in a way, and I'm going to wait for you to embrace who you are and to be authentic, as you said, and authentic in
Mhm.
your sadness, authentic in your fear, authentic in your anger.
Yeah.
And then I'm here with you on your authentic journey, so to speak. Am I hearing
Mhm.
you correctly then?
Yeah, you're actually getting it, and you make such a pivotal point that's really integral to understand this process. So ultimately, the universe predicates itself on unconditional love, and when any of us feel our fear, we feel our grief, we feel our, depression, our anger, we're telling the universe, "I love myself." Because ultimately, what happens when we suppress those? The universe say, oh, you're going to feel it, right? One way or another, something's going to happen and you're going to feel it. And then you drive out and you get cut off, and then you're feeling anger and you're cursing this person out. But it's one of the greatest acts of love for us to feel our emotions, because it's our energy. It's how we live. If you don't have emotions, you're likely, transitioned out of here. But what that signifies, and why I feel like the law of attraction, and why the divine has just organized the universe so precisely and so lovingly and wonderfully, us feeling our emotions is an act of love for ourselves and an act of love for humanity. And the law of attraction takes that, and it gives you more of that. Okay, you're being loving towards yourself by processing this grief. So I'm going to give you more of that. Right. And so what you just said is so important, because that's one of the biggest fears that come up. It's like, okay, well, this is not an exciting, happy, vibration that I'm trying to emit. But the reality is, it's love, right? And love is one of the highest vibrations any of us. And it doesn't always look like, as Stallone says, sunshine and rainbows, but it's helping us to break apart those things that hold us back from expressing ourselves fully as ourselves in that authenticity.
Thank you for that. And it's
You're
it's
welcome.
almost like the law of attraction and the law of love as well is
Yeah.
it's really embracing that.